who are you and what do you do?
My name is Joel. I'm a content creator. I try to make cinematic content, make people feel emotion with the content I create. I'm trying to just travel around to cool spots pretty much, make experiences while I'm young.
Well, my name is Baron Ryan, American Baron. I write and I make short films, but they're shorter than short films. They're mini films.
I'm Paolo, and I'm a storyteller, I'm a content creator, and filmmaker.
I think it's really hard to explain what I do, and even when I try to explain it, people don't understand what I'm talking about until they go see it. So it's just a mixture of understanding programs only to the most basic level that I can create the idea in my head.
I'm Ethan Tran. I go by Ethan Uncurated, and I make art curation videos and storytelling videos, mostly on short form. Also photographer.
As a graphic designer and content creator, I'm constantly surrounded by so many talented creatives who teach me new things. And I thought it was only right to share some of that knowledge with you all. So if you're a filmmaker, artist, designer, content creator, or anyone who wants to just share their art with the world, then this video is for you. With that being said, enjoy these conversations that I had with some of the most talented creators on the internet. How do you think that other people would describe your style when you're not around them?
Meticulous in terms of the composition of the shots that I create. So probably very intentional with the shots I create, and there's meaning in it more than just trying to show you something nice. There's a little bit of a story in the videos.
I guess a lot of people have called my work a fever dream. That's the common term. And I guess a lot of my work has been kind of dream-like scenarios, and the colors I use kind of also make it look like it's in some kind of alternate universe, because I use a lot of very strange color choices that don't make any sense and kind of just come from out of frame.
I think when I'm not, they'll call it cinematic. I personally try not to do that anymore, because cinematic's such a broad term.
Yeah.
But for casual, general, I think a lot of people say it's cinematic.
What is that feeling that makes them think that it's cinematic, you would say?
I think it's, for me, personally, it's just the color grading, which is annoying, because I'm it's the storytelling,
right. Even
the music. I think storytelling, then music, then the video, then the color grade. But I feel with a lot of people, they see the color grade, yo, that's so cinematic.
Yeah.
That it's cool, I'll take it, but that wasn't what the
other part took way more work, yeah. Right? I feel that way. I was working on a video recently, and I just put the bars, so it was wide format. And I was like, why is this cinematic all of a sudden? Because it's an office video, and I was like, oh, that's how they do it. Yeah. Or just 4:3. All of a sudden it's artsy, hacks. Yeah.
I would say a lot of people would say that I'm forecaster of taste for photo specifically, because I do talk a lot about photographers, and maybe am the creator's creator, because I talk about creative struggles, which I think is a weird thing. I mean, it's kind of weird to talk about myself, but I think that's what they would say.
Who are some of your biggest inspirations, and with that, how do you think you developed your own style?
Okay, so the obvious one is the problematic one, which is the Woody Allen. And of course, I love his work, and I was very, very inspired by him. Still am very inspired by his work and his films. Larry David, obviously. I think a big one that no one quite sees as much as the Coen brothers. When I watched the Coen brothers, that's really what got me writing in the first place, because I think I watched Barton Fink, and I felt such a unique way about it that I didn't know movies could do that, and I wanted to do that, and I wanted to give people that feeling, because I think you could feel inspired, you could laugh, you could cry at any funny, sad, or inspiring movie, but to feel that way, conflicted, but also satisfied.
Yeah.
And you didn't scratch an itch, but you're glad that the itch is not scratched. That's such a unique and weird feeling to me. But I want to create that. And I have both brothers, Joel and Ethan Coen, to thank for that, because they're who got me started, and it's yeah.
So I think my biggest inspiration is as a filmmaker, content creators, obviously everyone's gonna say Casey Neistat, and he kind of instilled that kind of not, I don't want to say grind set, because grind set's a bit too locked in, whereas Casey is the synergy was there, is he naturally
created
that content. but it was very kind of like free.
Right.
Whereas the stuff that I want to do was kind of like that, but kind of like a bit more controlled and a bit more polished. And that's where like one of my other biggest inspirations, which helped me push start like the stuff that I was doing, was that Danny Gewirtz. Amazing filmmaker, director. Released like this new film, but his stuff was kind of like Casey-esque, but like more scripted and kind of color graded and elevated and polished. So me trying to mesh those two together is like the kind of identity that I'm trying to create.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much how most people find their style. Is instead of trying to emulate one person, you take like a little piece of that person
100%,
and you fill out your own pie, you know. That way it's impossible to feel like it's plagiarism, because you only took the little aspects of each thing, you know. If you steal from just one person, then you're copying.
Yeah, and that's when you can use the word like inspired by, like obviously.
Right.
I don't have a lot of direct inspirations for things I do, just because I think I get too caught up in like trying to emulate a style, or like when I was younger and I had people that I liked, I got too almost too judgmental with them, or like judging my own work based on a specific person's work. So I just sort of started not looking for references or inspiration as much. Somebody who took a lot of the pressure off of learning Blender was this guy Ian Hubert, just because he kind of has this approach to learning where as long as you start to do something cool very quickly, it gets you excited for the potential of how you can make that thing better, as opposed to just doing a very, very basic model of something that's kind of boring, that takes you 5 hours to get to completion on, and it still doesn't feel impressive.
Like the donut or whatever, one of those bullshit things.
Yeah, like the donut takes like maybe 8 hours if you're just a total beginner trying to learn Blender for the first time and navigate the interface. But like Ian Hubert has these tutorials that are just 1 minute long. He talks very fast, but even as a beginner, you should be able to just sort of step by step follow what he did and get a similar result. And then that's just sort of the base level, where then he kind of shows you a bunch of examples of how he just throws that into his work and it makes it look so much better.
I think I'm just inspired by a lot of different things, and the thing that inspires me is the artist's stories the most. I'm realizing it's not necessarily the visuals, it's like why the artist did a specific thing and why they chose to do it for their whole life. Seeing their work after that is what makes it more interesting to me. And that's what inspires my own work, because I feel like they're already doing their own thing. I can like take what I want from them, like I can be inspired by what they do, but like it's at the end of the day, it's like everyone's story is different. I find that like really sick.
Biggest inspiration is probably A24, like their old stuff. I didn't watch Hereditary, but I watched Hereditary so I could like how they broke stuff down, because it's incredible how they do transitions and shots, and I took some inspiration from that.
Yeah.
Some of their other movies like Waves and stuff, like even like Euphoria. I don't even watch Euphoria, but I just watch it like just how they break down specific shots, because it's just incredible.
Yeah, and the colors and stuff.
It's just crazy. Vox, do you know Vox?
Yeah.
They do some of the best animation I've ever seen. Granted, like
yeah,
that on DaVinci is a little hard.
Yeah,
because there's not very many tutorials on how to do it. But I actually use their transitions for a lot of stuff I do with my other clients and stuff, and even myself. But people wise specifically, Cole Bennett, bro, that dude
Miracle
is
Lemonade.
Yes, dude. It is like Praise John the Moonlight, bro. Granted, maybe because I'm Jamaican, that's probably why, bro.
Yeah.
Because like he's made some crazier stuff, but I watched like the behind the scenes for that, and it was one of like the cool, like he's a genius, dude. And to see him work with top talent and take their vision and bring it to life, and there's so much to learn from people like that, bro. Love it.
How do you get validation or feel fulfilled in the work that you do outside of the metrics or how it may perform on social media?
I think just getting feedback from like people that aren't in the creative space. Obviously, it's easy for like our peers to be like, "Yo, that was crazy, right?" Even like to your face. Even like a family member saying we saw that video, it's like, "Oh, you did that?
Yeah,
it's like amazing." The people that are totally like, not in your world, and when they like compliment you, it's like some of the biggest like compliments, the most validating thing, that like your art is like reaching people outside of your circle.
That's a good point, because I've like gotten feedback that was good from people I really respect, and I think that they're good.
Yeah.
And it felt good, but when it's like my friend that doesn't care about anything, he's like, that's fire. I'm like, damn, they like it and they don't even know why. That's how good it is. Like, they just look at it and it's like, nice.
I think at the end of the day, there's all of these images in my head, or like worlds that I'd like to visit. And it's very exciting that things like tools like Blender let you get pretty close to those things, like those things in your head, just to explore them and experience them. And even if I'm not sharing that with a bunch of people online, it still makes me feel like a god that I can like
Yeah.
build anything I want. And
Right.
I think I do love being able to build out experiences for people, and I don't really know what form that's going to take in the future, but I do feel confident that it's not like social media as my platform isn't the end all, and it's just sort of a means to an end at some point of going somewhere else and doing something else with like all of this skills that I've been developing. And right now social media is just like a place to put that,
Right.
like
Just the outlet.
those attempts, like the experiments. It's like a sketchbook that at least you're getting feedback on, and the
Right.
feedback's very encouraging, but it's not why you make that stuff. It's not why you're putting things in the sketchbook.
I think it would be the, like, you know, probably with you with graphic design, like once you make something that you really like you feel a way after. And I think a lot of times, like, we're very perfectionists, so when you actually make something that you think is, oh, this is actually good,
Yeah.
like that, it's a different feeling. Like, even if you put it out and it does badly, it's a different feeling. I did one for a trip I took to the Dolomites in Italy.
Yeah.
Bro, I thought that I was like, I felt good again. Like, it felt like really good. And I don't think any amount of comments or likes could take that away, or I guess the lack of so many comments and likes could take away how I felt.
Right.
Like, I finished a project and I felt like, I snapped, like, for real.
Yeah.
I just snapped for real. And I think that probably, but if you're starting out, it's harder to come by though, you know, because you might not be as skilled. I thought, like, I see the audio in my head. I feel like I see the visuals, and when I make it a thing, it doesn't matter what anyone says.
Yeah. Like the work itself was already the prize, like
Yeah,
the reward
exactly.
for doing it.
Exactly. There was one time when I made a video for my YouTube channel, and I spent 13 hours in that day, like, editing it, and I just felt like I did as much as I could do. You know,
Yeah,
like, I
yeah.
reached the max. That's how I'm okay. I did what I could.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, that curation series started because I was a photographer, and when I first started, and I saw, like, as videos like Reels and TikTok started becoming more prevalent, it felt like us as like visual artists that do still photography and like still even graphics, it's like not as important anymore. So I wanted to be a voice for people that I liked, because I feel like there's so many cool artists, but like there wasn't enough like people talking about those artists anymore because they didn't have a platform, and I wanted to kind of help be that platform and like uplift artists that I actually liked, and I think people should also be inspired by. That's like really fulfilling to me. Like, I had this one artist I did, like, it got a lot of engagement, but the main thing was that she got like 150,000 followers
Wow.
on Instagram through that one video I made.
That's cool.
People found the rest of her work. That was like the coolest thing.
So you're more like focused on not only the quality and engagement on your thing, but you're mostly trying to drive like traffic to them and get them more like notoriety and kind of just put eyes on people that you think are doing cool shit.
Yeah, because like actually like those videos don't really get me as many followers as my like storytelling ones. So if I wanted to do that, I would just only make those storytelling ones. I find like a lot of like value in just talking about other people and like putting people on different artists that I think are cool.
I always thought likes, views, shares, I always thought that was like sugar. You can allow it to satisfy you a little bit. You can allow it to make you a little happy, but don't take too much of it. You can't have too much sugar. You can't have too much validation from likes. It happens naturally though.
Yeah.
So I try and have a healthy relationship with it. If I don't watch out, I just eat too much sugar and it will come back to me. So for me, the goal is to always get to that place where you work so hard on something that you don't care what happens to it. You're just so proud you did it. And it's so hard to get to that place, especially at the beginning of what you started on. But it does exist, and you have to remind I have to remind myself that that moment exists where you're just proud of it. You don't care what everyone thinks. It can live.
What do you think is the most important trait for someone that does something creative to have to be successful?
Perseverance. Like you'd be like that tough cookie to kind of persevere, because it's definitely going to be ups and downs.
Yeah.
And when there are ups, and sometimes it's constant ups, like it's not like you got to also persevere to be like, okay, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to kind of be like, wow, okay, I'm doing it.
Chill, yeah.
But perseverance also works, and like when it's good things are constantly happening, you need to like persevere and push yourself to do that. So I feel like definitely you got to have some sort of like perseverance to kind of make it.
It's gonna be so cliche. Definitely discipline, like consistency. Like you have to be able to be consistent over the emotion, because I think this is like one of the most volatile careers you can have is posting content online. Like there's guaranteed that you're gonna probably do well, but guaranteed you're gonna go in a dry spell or something's gonna happen.
Baron's gonna be mad at me for this, but I remember like looking him up and finding he did his Boy Scout, that he's one of like the 5 people that earned all of the Boy Scout badges. And it's just one of those things where it's so unrelated to the fact that he's a successful writer now, but it feels like it's the kinds of people that have always just been go-getters or like just really good at things, or at least got really passionate about specific things. And you need that. Like some people just don't have that ability to get that deeply passionate about something. And I think creators have to be people that have gotten passionate about many, many things and have like finally landed on this thing.
That's that's great.
I think it comes down to just being okay with failing a lot of times, being okay with mistakes, I'd say. I think there's a direct correlation between longevity and your tolerance for your own mistakes. Another way of saying that is persistence. Another way of saying that is lack of perfection, not judging yourself. Like they're all the same word for not giving up, ultimately. But my best translation of not giving up is being okay with failing and being okay being satisfied with your own satisfaction.
Yeah, and I think sometimes like failing in this world is like the best case scenario for winning bigger later, because it's either like you win or you learn. It's like you can fail, but you only ever like are a failure if you let that mistake or that thing that didn't turn exactly out how you wanted to affect you more negatively than it does positively.
To just experiment with a lot of different things. Like a lot of people say that, but I think it's really valid because I see so many different artists and I'm like, this person had a completely different beginning, or like they posted so many different things before their one thing that they really love doing.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people that are getting into creations, like I want to make something like this person, but they're like so tunnel vision on this one thing that when they do it and they accomplish it, they're like, I don't know what to do anymore. But a lot of the times it's like just getting out of that little bubble of what you do already like well, and like trying something out new, because it might help with the next thing you do. Like I think a good example of that is like typography with Reels, right? Like a lot of people do basic fonts, right? But when people put in the time to like learn what looks good, it really is valuable, because it makes people like you like, oh, this is cool because of the type is also cool, not just the story. And I think that's really valuable.
How do you combat feeling burnt out or feelings when you are having trouble like continuing to do the thing that you love to do?
Bro, I still feel like I'm trying to figure that out, because I do get burnt out a lot, but usually when I get burnt out, I just stop doing everything because I just can't be productive anymore. So it's like I just like stuff like this right here is nice. Like I don't know if you noticed, but I'm not filming as much as I do normally. But it's just like you actually like need time to just do nothing, or like I said, bro, like just start drawing something random.
Right.
Like just do something else to get your mind either away or just to realize like, bro, it's not that serious, I guess. Like you can take a break and chill. Because if you don't, you won't be able to do what you even want to do. So it's like kind of cliche, but again, like taking breaks completely away, and then figuring out why you got burnt out in the first place, and then taking a piece away. So like my stuff on YouTube used to be crazy edited, and now I'm trying to just strip away all the edits that are stopping me from being consistent as of right now.
Yeah, spending way too much on
on like the
one
tiny
little thing.
things, bro. Like even the video I was editing yesterday for one of the clients, like I was like, dude, I was about to start doing like the most unnecessary piece, but it's annoying because sometimes that little 10%, like you were saying, is what changes the whole vibe of the video. But at the same time, like if the time is up for the video to be done, well then I need to work on pre-planning next time so we can make the video better, you know?
Right. I think the real skill is not putting that extra 10% or not doing it, but having the ability to know when it's a good time to do that or not.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it kind of feels bad because with client work, I don't want to like skimp out.
Yeah.
At the same time, bro, it's like we got to move. This is a system. This is systematic, bro. Low key.
Yeah.
I got to get it done, so I can't put everything into it. So
I would normally like take a break, but what I've been doing recently is like I've been making the content on the burnout, which is weirdly like counterproductive.
Yeah, it's like meta.
It's like such meta that doing the content on the burnout is like enough creative spark to be like, okay, cool, like that got me out of the funk. But there are times that I'm like totally in the funk and I just can't make content. So I would kind of like shut down, not post for a while. And luckily enough, a lot of like my like ideas is formulated through music. So there's times where I just crank up the music, play it on like the loudspeaker, and then try to kind of regain kind of some sort sense of inspiration through that. And at the same time, music's like pretty calming, like especially when you listen to like your favorite stuff. It kind of like washes away all like the burnout.
Yeah.
At the same time,
it's a good point. Nothing like there's something so like nostalgic, sentimental, and just like very introspective about listening to a song you really like at the moment and just driving like around. You're like, oh man, like this is
the best. It's funny because
it feels cinematic. Like you're watching yourself do it. That's how it almost
exactly.
feels.
That's literally how I do. Like a lot of my ideas are from that music, and then that either like that one lyric or that one beat, and I'm picturing like a music video or like a movie,
for sure.
movie scene.
I have a weird take on burnout. I think it's not that bad for you. Any coping mechanisms to prevent burnout for me just slows burnout down. But you're gonna burn out anyway. So I always thought it was best to crash, burn, and be reborn again. Just get back up. Don't stop it though. Just let yourself go down. And once you're down, it's a lot easier to get back up for me, at least, because when you're down, all you can go is up, and you're almost at the beginning again. And it's super refreshing to be at the beginning again when you had nothing to lose all over again. Like if you make a series of videos and they bomb, I guess in terms of views and likes, it's actually really satisfying to make the next one. Because for me, I'm not concerned. I'm like, oh, it's off. Pressure's off. Yeah, and I still have to fight that. I have to fight that urge to look at numbers and all that, but you just do.
I find the periods where I can think the best is when I'm like off my phone. When I think about it and I talk to people that I think do really cool shit, it's always like they're always really productive, or they have productive periods, and that mostly comes when they're not on their phone a lot and they're able to just focus on the actual one thing they do. I think we get sucked into like we need to go on Instagram for inspiration, but it's like an endless loop of like scrolling, right? And a lot of times you can find something, but you don't ever do anything after that.
Yeah, it's kind of like a false sense of work. Like you can lie to yourself and make you feel like just looking at stuff for inspiration or research is like a valuable use of your time, but then you can just distract yourself all day looking at that and never go out and actually make your own things.
Exactly. And I also think I do it like when I find when I scroll too much, I keep seeing similar stuff, and it actually makes me less inspired, because I'm like, I don't want to make what they already made either, because even if it's like from the beginning, but if I come from a place of like, I don't know anything that's on there, so I'm going to make what I personally enjoy, it'll be more original because you haven't seen the other shit.
It is just really important to just step away from it for a little bit if you're feeling tired of it. And I guess a lot of people don't have that, like they can't afford the luxury of stepping away, which makes it hard. And that's why it's so hard to do what you like, do your passion or do like the creative work as your job. This year or like the last year, I've been very kind of not liking what I've been making, not really seeing the way out of the current path I'm on. And I think going and kind of stepping away from it and focusing more on like meeting other people and having more social, like real world experiences where I just kind of interact in life and experience more emotions that have to do with interacting with other humans and just having conversations and like falling in love and like falling out of love and those kinds of things. And then it's kind of like now that you have all these new human emotions that you're feeling again, you have all this, you have to put it somewhere. And it kind of comes back around that it's like, oh yeah, that's why I was making the things I was making in the first place, was just to put all this emotion somewhere.
If you could just narrow down like a lot of the stuff you've learned from your experience as a creator and could give one piece of advice to someone who wants to do stuff online with their art, be an artist, be a designer, videographer, whatever it is, what would that one piece of advice be?
I would say experiment, because you never really truly find yourself unless you experiment. And I think the best thing about like the word experiment is like, you already know for sure it's an experiment. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're only trying it out for the first time. Because I was going to say like, oh yeah, like just go and do it. But that's like what everyone always says. But sometimes like when you go and do it, it's like, I have to do it like perfect.
Good,
but when you use the word experiment, it means you're kind of like having fun of it. You're trying to figure out what you want. And you already know for sure in that word itself, it doesn't have to be perfect. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And you try again.
I would say start with your phone first. Like most of everyone has pretty much an iPhone, if not like an Android with a good camera. Like you don't, a lot of people, especially with what I do, I think that you need the craziest camera, but I've realized more than ever that it's mostly like the story of people. Like I see your content, like you're posting about the work that you do, but when you post about your story and why you're doing stuff, people connect with it a lot more because it feels more authentic. And with your phone, it feels even more authentic. Like there's creators here who just use their phones, like Gabe. You know, he just uses his phone to tell stories, and like that's so much. It just feels like, oh, this is like, I don't know. It feels like real. I don't know. It's like a connection, like a FaceTime call. So I would say start with what you have and understand that it's the story that makes the person and the content pretty much, and not the camera.
I think a lot of people get too caught up trying to do jobs for other people early on when they're trying to learn something. They think that that's the way to level it up and become professional, is you need to focus on clients and finding more clients, and just you get so caught up just being kind of a PA or an assistant to other people's projects, and you get frustrated because you know that you're capable of so much more, but these people aren't giving you that creative freedom, and it makes it very, very hard to ever prove what you're actually capable of until you actually just start making those projects that you know you're capable of on your own, like just putting in all the effort that you were putting into to just work with other people, put it back into yourself, make those projects, put them out into the world. And then like I guarantee that you will get new clients that are coming to you and they say, I want something like that. Like, and it's always those things that you made just by yourself on your own that they're going to point to. It's never going to be the client work that you weren't as passionate about that they're going to point at.
That's amazing. Like my audience is mainly designers, and that is something I talk about so much, and I think that's perfect advice.
Be quick. If you want to put it in one word, hurry up. Don't try and be a perfectionist about it. Don't think about it like an artist. An artist wants to make a masterpiece in one go. Just whenever I'm stuck on a story or a skit or a video, I just remind myself I'm going to make hundreds of videos in my lifetime. I'm going to write hundreds of stories. I'm going to make dozens. I'm going to write dozens of books in my lifetime. This is just one of them. That's all it is. That's just one of them. It may not be the best one. It might be the worst one. Regardless, it's just one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, and the more like shots you put on goal, the better, because you'll have more opportunity for one of those to like actually hit and resonate.
But it is hard to do that. I acknowledge it, because you're playing with your own ego, and what's at stake is your ego and your feelings, and it all hurts when it crashes and burns. But you gotta let it hurt.
Yeah.
I think it has to just be my main quote: make stuff even if it's bad. When I first started as a photographer, I think that was in my bio of my Instagram. And when I like started making more and more videos, I realized that was there. And like every time I looked where I was in comparison to before, it was like always the main thing that I would always come back to, just so I could learn and grow more and more without having the fear of like making bad stuff, because it doesn't really matter.
Beautiful. All right, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes.
I appreciate you for doing this, and thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. Dope. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate
of course,
it.
dude. Yeah. This is good time in Paris.
Thank you for sitting down with me today, bro. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
bro. This is Kuya right here, guys. This is Kuya.
For me, at least.
Thank you, bro. Oh, wait. Nah, we got it.
No, keep that in. Keep that in.
All right, bro.
All right,
Thank
no.
you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, bro. Anytime.